Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Perkenalkan, nama saya Muhammad Iqbal Al-Ghazali. Saya dari Universitas Islam Bunga Bangsa di Cirebon. Di sini saya akan menampilkan sebuah video pembelajaran tentang teori-teori pembelajaran. Untuk mulai itu, marilah kita lihat cuplikan video berikut ini.
Class, pass the test papers down.
Yes, luckily I passed. How much did you get? Passed also.
Good job.
Charlene? What happened? Let's take it one step at a time, okay? Where do earthquakes occur most often?
Along the edges of
Tectonic.
tectonic plates.
Do you understand what it means?
Mangroves protect coastal areas from erosion. As you can see behind me, the mangroves have roots that are exposed. So how do the exposed roots reduce erosion? The sea used to come all the way up to there.
Madam Pua, is that area also reclaimed land?
Yes, that's a good question. The speed of the river slows down and sediments begin to accumulate, forming land mass. What are the land masses known as? Shirley?
Deltas?
Yes, that's right.
Do you understand the subject better now?
Yeah, I'll try to get C5 for the mid-year exam.
Just try your best, Shirley.
哎呦，这个天气真的吓人的嘞！忽然间下这么大的雨，
哦，是雨季来的。每年的雨季大概就是这个时候。
哦，
Pass the papers down.
Madam Pua, what do you mean by well done? I still failed.
You worked hard and made a big improvement. Isn't that more important? Keep up the good work, Shirley.
Classical conditioning is a way of learning where a stimulus that triggers a biological response is paired with a new stimulus that then results in the same reaction. The most famous work in classical conditioning was done by Ivan Pavlov in the 1890s. During this time, Pavlov did a lot of research around the digestive processes of dogs. One day during his research, Pavlov noticed that the dogs began to salivate in the presence of the technician who normally fed them. He wondered if the technician was a trigger that stimulated a response associated with food. To find out, he constructed an experiment that would allow him to measure a dog's output of saliva. First, he served the dog food. Then, he served food while playing the sounds of a metronome and repeated the process a few times. Finally, he removed the food and only played the metronome. The dogs began to salivate in response to the metronome alone. Pavlov concluded that if a new stimulus was present when the dog was given food, then that stimulus became associated with food and caused salivation on its own. When he published his findings, Pavlov called the food an unconditioned stimulus because its effects on the dog were not learned. Instead, they triggered an unconditioned response that happened naturally and completely out of the dog's control. The metronome is at first a neutral stimulus. Through the process of repetitive pairing with food, the dog learns to connect the two. This means that the neutral stimulus becomes the conditioned stimulus, and the response to that, a conditioned response. He also reported that 1. Learning occurred most rapidly when the interval between the sound and the appearance of the food was short. 2. The saliva produced by the sound differed in composition from that produced by the food, which means that the conditioned response was not an exact replica of the unconditioned response. 3. While there are several forms of conditioning, such as forward and backward conditioning, classical conditioning cannot create new behavior or be used for training, but instead triggers involuntary biological responses. 4. We can almost entirely undo the conditioning. This happens through extinction when we repeatedly present the conditioned stimulus in the absence of the unconditioned stimulus. So, what occurs inside the brain? When a dog sees the food, the signals from the eyes and nose stimulate the brain, which activates the salivation glands to secrete saliva to aid the dog with the digestion. When a dog hears a sound, the ears send a signal to the brain, which takes note but has no reason to activate anything. When the two different neurological processes are being activated simultaneously, new synaptic connections occur between the auditory stimulus and the behavioral response. Over time, these synapses are strengthened so that it only takes the sound to activate the pathway leading to salivation.
Demikian video yang telah disaksikan terkait dengan materi teori-teori pembelajaran, khususnya pembelajaran behavioristik. Untuk sesi berikutnya kita akan lanjutkan pada sesi tanya jawab. Terima kasih.